following is an installation demonstration for JointMaster closed cell foam seals. Tools required are a hot plate, which will be used to create watertight seals and transitions in the foam. Adjust the heat setting of the plate to medium-high heat. You will also need a miter box affixed to a cutting surface. The miter box assures that you will be cutting straight lines to create transitions and seams in the foam. To cut the foam, use a saw that has been ground down to remove the teeth but still maintains a sharp blade. Have work rags on hand for cleanup throughout the installation. Before starting the installation process, it is crucial to inspect the joint. You should inspect the full length and width of the joint. In particular, pay attention to the joint face and throat to ensure that it is flush and plumb and there are no form marks or voids within the concrete. These images that you see here are not in acceptable condition and require remediation prior to installation. Work with your GC to ensure corrections. Poor joint conditions result in 90% of all product failures. Once joint conditions are approved, apply a covering such as duct tape and craft paper to the surrounding deck and joint face before moving forward. When creating a heat welded transition and/or seam, you begin by creating a clean cut in the foam. We recommend the use of a smooth blade saw when cutting through the foam. You can see here that we have ground the teeth off to create the smooth but still sharp edge. Once you have the clean cut seam in your foam, move from the miter box to the hot plate. It is important to only heat the foam for 7 to 8 seconds to maximize your bond. Any longer and you will change the chemical makeup of the foam, which will hinder seam attachment and water resistance. Quickly place the melted edges together and firmly press along each side to create a tight seam. Now, demonstrating a 90-degree turn. Use your miter box to create the 45-degree opposite angle cuts. Again, when heat welding, only apply heat to the foam for 7 to 8 seconds. You must press the edges together quickly or else you will lose the heat and bond. When you have a properly executed heat weld, you will be able to apply a strong force to the seam without any tearing or breaking. It is time to mix your epoxy. Typically this comes in 2 containers, an A and a B. The entire can of B is mixed into can A. We recommend the use of a masonry bit to mix the epoxy. Standard paint paddles are not as efficient. When properly mixed, the epoxy will be a light gray color. After you have created your transitions and seams and mixed the epoxy, it is time to start the installation process. Using gloves and eye protection is required. The epoxy will be applied to the foam seal and within the joint throat. This is a messy process, so it is critical that the area below the joint is clear and closed off to pedestrians and vehicles. I am demonstrating the application using a chip brush, but you can also apply the epoxy using a gloved hand. The application method can be chosen by your installation team. Your typical installation team for this product should include 3 installers. The typical scenario is installer A and B will be working together to heat weld and install the foam, while installer C will continue mixing the epoxy for a continuous installation. You'll want to plan an achievable start and stop sequence prior to commencing work. Do not worry about getting epoxy on the face of the foam. We will demonstrate the proper cleaning in just a moment. Apply the epoxy liberally to maximize adhesion. It is also important to apply the epoxy within the crevices of the foam, which act as a pooling surface that collects the epoxy while being pressed into the joint. When you begin your installation, start at one end and begin pressing the foam into place. Again, there is no need to worry about getting epoxy on the foam face. There are a few different tricks to simplify the installation, one of which is utilizing a floor scraper which has had the blade removed. This method allows the installer to get more leverage while pressing the foam down. Indentations will occur while pressing down but will self-heal after it has time to settle. While the epoxy is still wet, use a straight edge to squeegee the excess epoxy off the foam face. The depth to which your foam is installed is determined by which cover plate system will be installed over the foam. Reference shop drawing details to confirm. The cover plate specifications will determine installation depth. Using a paint thinner or xylene-based product, wipe down the foam face to remove any epoxy residue. Remove the protective measures from your deck to complete the install. And that is the proper installation of a JointMaster closed cell foam seal. For more information, visit improcorp.com/JointMaster or contact your JointMaster expert at 800-222-5556 today.